you today. Happy solstice to you. Happy winter solstice to all my beautiful witches and mystics in the south, and happy summer solstice to all my beautiful witches and mystics in the north. I hope this day is treating you well. I hope that you are surrounded by positive energies, by loved ones, and an incredible energy that helps you to shift out of bad cycles into new cycles, that helps you love yourself more, that helps you tap into more intuition, more creativity, and move forward, move ahead in life, especially if you've been held back. I have been held back, but I am smiling and I am bubbling forth, and it's just been a really beautiful day so far. So I set the intention. Our coven, well, my coven on Patreon, have nailed this day. We have rituals sorted for this day, and one of them was food related. So I got up, everything was covered in frost and ice, and I went out and I grabbed veggies from the local grocers, and it was early in the morning. I was one of maybe like 5 people just moving around our tiny little country town, and people saying hello because everyone sort of knows each other here. And I grabbed myself all this tasty stuff to make a garlic and red wine stew that I put on the fire at, like, I want to say 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's been cooking away on top of the fire. It took so long for my fire to heat up my tiny little home. It was so cold. When I hopped in the car this morning to drive the kids off, you know what I mean, to drive them to school, it was -3. And everything was just covered in frost, and it was amazing. The kids loved it. So I've got big plans: roasting marshmallows, hot chocolates, big family dinner, big family feast, beautiful music, some story time. You know, I'm a big believer in the power of story, and I love telling stories. I tried a gratitude practice this morning. My kids were not having any of it, okay? Nevertheless, I just got a little buzz on my phone just before I came to pick up the kids. I'm waiting here to pick them up, and 2 new decks showed up. Now, I'll show you the first one. It is the 2nd edition of the Marielle Tarot, and folks, this is the 3rd copy of the Marielle. I'm that person. I've done that with no other deck. Well, actually, I have 1st and 2nd edition of a couple of decks, but this is the only deck that I have 3 copies of, you know. And this is smaller, borderless. At least I think it's borderless. That's how it shows in the back. I'm just excited, okay? And to be clear, my first 2 editions of the Marielle are exactly the same, except one was gifted and it comes with her autograph, and that is special to me. So I'm like, ugh. So I needed to have this one here. I've been doing watercolor apples in my Hobonichi journal today as I sit there and I wait for my stew to cook. I've been listening to June, the audiobook, which, guys, I highly recommend this. It is an all-star cast. I'm not just saying that. It sounds like you are listening to a movie. There's like 20 people narrating this book. It is so complex and beautiful and amazing. And the June movie is due to come out, or the remake of it is due to come out. So I wanted to get amongst it. I wanted to read it. It's one of my father's absolute favorite books, you know, right up there with one of his absolute favorite books. His other one's The Redemption of Athalas, which I've never read. I stole a copy from him once, but I never actually read it at the time. But this one, he encouraged me to read it. So I've been listening, I've been doing watercolor art, listening to June, cooking, preparing the house, cleansing, doing all that type of thing. Bit of self-care, bit of self-focus. I haven't been on social media too much, but I did get a new deck today. Look at this. Ew. It is the True North, that's right, True North Tarot. And I think it's been made by a creator here in Australia, because it has a South Australian or a Victorian address on it, which I was very surprised about, because I saw this deck on Instagram. Basically, Instagram enables me, and yeah, I saw it and I'm like, that's really unusual, beautiful, unique. I don't have anything like it in my collection. That's how I come to all of my collection decisions. Do I have something like this in my collection? Is this something that I absolutely 100% love? This one is intriguing. I haven't seen too many of the images, and what I mean by that, I have seen probably 3. And so I'm really excited for that. So I've got the Mary L, I have the True North Tarot, and now I feel like it's okay for me to buy another Oracle deck because there's a thing, right? I came across a video of the Kali Oracle, which is a Blue Angel deck. Blue Angel is an Australian publishing house. I haven't been buying Blue Angel decks of late because I just haven't liked the vibe of the artwork. To my surprise, this Kali deck came out. It's a Jimmy Manton and Alana Fairchild deck, and it came out last year, if not the year before. No, it was last year. Definitely last year. And so I put a picture up on Patreon going, just found out about this deck, and I'm in a bit of a rock and a hard place because I have a strict rule as part of me collecting because of my trade, and I am a professional tarot reader. Because of that, it is my absolute goal to have way more tarot decks than I do Oracle. Problem is, I love Oracle, I love tarot more, but I also love Oracle. I find that Oracle has really expressive art, and you get a lot of the creator energy in the actual cards. And so I saw this Kali deck and I'm just like, I feel like my collection is out of balance at the moment. Either it's striking equal, or there might be just a teeny bit more Oracle cards. So I've got 2 new tarot decks. So I think I need to work on a 3-in-1 ratio. Nevertheless, I backed a Kickstarter, the Legends of Witches, the Witches of Legend deck, which arrived on the Friday. So it's currently sitting there waiting for me to open. I haven't cracked into it. I haven't opened it yet. So I had that one. I think that's an Oracle deck. But I'm really trying hard to just have more tarot decks. And people are like, don't put these rules on yourself. I'm like, no, I must put these rules on myself. I am a Taurus. I'm a very strict person with myself, and I have to put these rules on myself. Otherwise, I'd get out of control. I would just be way out of control. That's how it is. So these rules serve me. They are good boundaries for me as far as, collecting, the spending of money, the spending of my resources, the utilization of my tiny spaces, because as many of you know, I live in a tiny home, off-grid in a tiny home. I don't have a lot of space. And right now I am I'm toggling between, I've completely run out of space for books. This is sad. This is why I listen to a lot of audiobooks, because I don't have a lot of physical space for books. This is not to say that I don't buy books anymore, because I definitely do, but I am very selective with the books that I physically purchase. And I have a rule now where I will listen to only audiobooks. If I can't get a book on Audible, and that happens to me all the time because I'm here in Australia, I will then physically buy and read the physical copy. I love to sit down with a book and flip the pages. There's something beautifully relaxing, very romantic. However, I get a lot more reading done when I audiobook it. And so Audible for the win. And I do have to say that I'm so blown away with the quality of the book June on Audible. Like, they did a I've never heard anything like it. I just haven't. You hear about all-star casts as far as Audible, audiobooks go, and Daisy Jones and the Six did it. A couple of the books that I've recently read, The Remnant Chronicles, Mary E. Pearson did it as well. A couple of dual narrators, that kind of thing. But this is amazing. This is amazing. I'm getting grumpy when people interrupt me. They're like, I'm like, I'm doing these ones as if don't you fucking dare. I'm in the height of this tense moment. I'm at chapter 10 or 11 or something like that. So it's fantastic. But that's what I've been doing for my solstice. I've been taking photos, been connecting with my breath. I have been doing watercolor art, cooking a really nutritious meal for my children, gearing up for a settlement meeting with my ex-husband this afternoon. And I'm just trying to keep myself in a really relaxed state of mind. My Lenormand deck, my Lenormand cards for the day were actually very good, and that helps. So yes, hold on just a moment. Hello.
You're on the phone. I just didn't want to disturb you.
That's fine.